Hello everyone and welcome back to Horton Common Model Railway. Hang on a minute, that isn't Horton Common. No, it's not Horton Common. Guess what? We've bought a layout. Hello there. Well, yes, as we've just said, we've bought another model railway, a depot layout. It's currently being rewired at the moment. However, that is not what we're going to be discussing today. We're going to just finish up a little bit on semaphore signalling and explain a few more bits and pieces so I can fold it all up, as to say, and it's all done, and we can move on to the next subject. Okay. Right then. So here we are back on Horton Common and we've got the extension board in. Yeah, I know I've got diesels on. It's just an excuse to have a little run with some of the new stock we've just bought and weathered up. So as I said, we're going to be discussing a bit more about signalling. So let's get straight into it. So here we have a semaphore signal, and as you can see, it has a white diamond below the lever arm. That is to signify that the signal and the track it's referring to, more likely the track, is track circuited. So the signaller knows that the driver in his train is stopped at that signal because the track circuit will have illuminated in his box on his diagram. So there's no need for the driver to walk away and go trotting up to the signal box. Gone out of focus again. That's better. No need to go out the signal box and sign the train register because he knows that the driver is there. He can communicate with the signalman with a telephone. There will be a telephone at the base of the signal on a little post, and he can then talk to the signalman if he requires. So, hello mate, I'm stopped on your outer home. So which the signalman will probably say, yeah, just wait for a change of aspect mate, no problems. Or he could say, okay, I've got a signal failure, you can pass that one at danger, proceed at caution to the next signal and report to me from there. So he can do that. Or if he's in eyesight the signal box, he could say to the driver, okay mate, pass that signal at danger and stop outside the box and I'll give you further instructions. And the signalman will probably hold a green flag from the cabin so the driver can see it. The driver will give one toot on the horn to say acknowledgement to the signalman that he's seen him. Communicate with the guard if he can. If not, just proceed forward and stop outside the cabin and listen to what the signalman has to say. Right then, so track circuit block, and we're going to be having colour light signals. The AWS automatic warning system will also be installed at the same time. This comprises of two magnets which are placed in the middle of the track between the two running rails. One is a permanent magnet and one is an electromagnet. Now then, if the signal should be, and we're looking at the one up there, if that signal should be displaying either a red or a yellow aspect, this is the AWS ramp. The first magnet there is a permanent magnet, so it's always energized. The one above it is an electromagnet. The electromagnet in this case will not be energized, so it's just the permanent magnet in the middle there which will be energized. And what that does is a receiver under the train will go over that and it'll go over the permanent magnet and it will set off a warning in the cab. It used to be a deafening horn. Now it's a quiet little beep. The driver has to cancel that as an acknowledgement and be prepared to stop at the next stop signal or reduce his speed according to the aspect. Now, if it's a green, the other magnet in front, electromagnet, will be energized. Now the electromagnet is more powerful than the permanent magnet. So if we go in a bit closer, so there's your permanent magnet. Let's get something to point to that. What can we use? I know. We'll use this. So that first yellow magnet there is your permanent magnet, and the one above it is your electromagnet. Now when that's energized, it has more power than that one. So the train will go over that ramp, and that ramp is in case there's anything dangling off the train, so it doesn't do any damage, it will scoop it off. We'll go over the permanent magnet, and the needle on the apparatus will tilt. However, a split second later, because the electromagnet is energized, it will pull the needle back the other way, and you won't get an audible warning which you have to cancel. Instead, you'll get a bell. Well, it used to be a bell. Now it's a quiet ding in the cab. Now Jamie will have recordings of this, and it'll show you the various things that happen. And he'll show you what happens when a train goes over the magnet when it's at caution. And he'll go over another one and show when the light is at green. Now then, depending on where you live, not a lot of people may know this, but 99% of all AWS magnets installed on the railway are indeed painted yellow, like that. Universal. However, on the southern region, they are not yellow. They are painted bottle green. So the permanent magnet and the electromagnet are a different colour. Same things, just different colours. Why is that, you ask? Well, let's imagine that is your live rail and it's energised. Now it can cause interference to the magnets on the AWS ramps. It can affect the electromagnetic field and give false readings. So, in order to overcome the electromagnetic force, which could be generated because of the third rail is there, with electricity flowing through it, and you know an electromagnet, what can happen? Really big pull and a big draw. They paint the magnets green because they are twice as strong as those that are yellow, and they need to be stronger because they need to counteract any electromagnetic force that's been generated by the third rail. So when you're next out and about in the southern region, you have a look. If you're at a station and it's got a signal on the end, you look for the AWS ramps and you'll see that they're green. Yellow ones are for the normal rail system on non-electrified routes, and on the 25 kV system they'll be yellow as well. Only on the southern do you see green AWS magnets. Just thought you'd like to know that bit. Okay, so then, as we said, we are now going to be installing colour lights later on as it goes along, and they're going to be controlled from that signal box, and we can see the starting signal end of the platform. So then, let's swing round this way, and oh my lord, what have we got here? Yes, I expect that looks confusing, but actually it's not. So, let's go to it. This is for your junction, going off to the left. We're imagining that is the branch line to Salisbury. And we're also imagining that the distance between the two stations and the signalling distance is a lot closer than is really required. So normally you would have a section signal, as we've explained in the absolute block, followed by a distance signal for the next signal box. But we can't do that here because we're imagining that it's quite close between the two stations and there's insufficient space to put in a distance signal from the next stop signal. Remember, it's got to have an adequate braking distance and it's just not there. So what do? Right, what we do, or what they do, is quite simple. This signal is controlled from the box down there, Horton Common. That's the section signal. The distance signal is for the next signal box in advance. So what will happen is, when it's cleared to go, that signal will be cleared and the driver knows he can go round there, but he knows he's got to slow down, not go round too quick, and don't accelerate because the distance on. If you remember, he must be prepared to stop at the next stop signal. Now this signal is controlled from Horton Common there. The distance is controlled from the signal box in advance. If he has cleared his signals and it's all right to go through, then both signals will be in the off position. Section signal's cleared, this signal is cleared, and at that moment in time every stop signal controlled from that signal box will be at green, just as we discussed in the last video on absolute block. Now the signalman will pull off his section signal to allow the train to go round the branch heading towards Salisbury, which also releases a lever. Only when the signalman in advance has cleared all his signals will that allow this signal to come off. If he doesn't pull them all off, it will stay just like that. In the meantime, if he's going up the main line to London, all the signalman has to do is pull that one, because we're imagining that there's another station a lot further on, bigger distance between two stations, therefore there'll be a distance signal for the next signal box. As far as the driver's concerned here, he's got the section signal, he can go. He'll be entering the next section for the next signal box in advance, which in our case will go into Fiddle Yard, but normally it would be the main line and he's going on further there. Okay, now then, as I said, we've got colour light. So what's going to happen here? Right, so when this colour light comes into operation, it's all right, don't cringe everybody, this is meant to happen. Those posts will be removed, leaving just a colour light. But what about if he goes around a junction? Not a problem. That's why we've got this lunar light, or feather, pointing to the left, showing that the route, the driver will be going to the left. 5 little white lights in that will illuminate, showing the route he's taking. You've got red, yellow, green. Red speaks for itself, stop. Yellow, caution. Green, you've got at least 2 signal sections clear. Okay then, so he wants to go around there. What will happen? 9 times out of 10 what happens, he will stop here on a red light if he's brought to a stand. The lunar lights will illuminate to the left, and a split second later, in fact millisecond later, the signal will change from red. It'll either go to yellow or go to green, according to whatever's ahead of the train. If there's another train in front, at the signal beyond, it will just be a single yellow. If it's all line clear all the way through, it will be a green signal. But those 5 lights illuminated to the left shows the route he's going to be taken. Again, you'll have an AWS ramp. If it's a yellow or a red, he'll get the warning horn sound in the cab. If it's clear and green, he'll get the bell or the clear tone to proceed. So what if it's the main line? Well, quite simple. That doesn't illuminate at all, and it's just red, yellow, green for going straight ahead. Speaks for itself really, doesn't it? So that just about ties up everything with colour light. As you can see, it's got a white diamond, so it shows it's track circuited. There's a signal plate which identifies what signal box controls it. I put HC4, so it's Horton Common lever 4, and at the bottom there is a little telephone attached to the post so you can communicate with the signalman. I hope that explains things a bit better to you. We thought we'd add something completely different. We are going to energise this signal. We're going to be using this colour light on the layout. I had this gantry left over from a layout I built decades ago. The layout sadly got destroyed in a flood, and it got thrown to the tip, which is very upsetting. It was partially built by the Reverend W. Audrey, who did Thomas the Tank Engine, and it was fine scale layout. It was a beauty. But enough about that, it's gone. There's only 3 sections remaining. But I didn't want to throw this out because I'd made this myself. So all I did was remade some handrails and soldered them on, and I thought that'd be a good effect to see. So, looking up this way towards the goods shed, you will notice that we have a disc signal to the right, which is yellow and black. What is the significance of this, you may ask? One moment, please. Just going to change the point. There we go. Okay. Well, this is a shunt dummy. A bit like a distant shunt dummy, actually, because like a distant signal, you can pass it and shunt in and out of the goods shed and the goods yard all day to your heart's content while it is in this position. The other disc signal we know is a red and white, and if that was in the position like this, horizontal, with a red horizontal line, you could not pass that because that is classed as a stop signal and you'd be passing a signal at danger, which is a very serious offence. So all the time you're doing shunting, going back to this signal here, up onto the goods line, the shunt neck, and back and forth into the goods shed and into the coal yard, you can go up and down there as much as you like. However, if you want to go out onto the main line, you have to pull back your train to stop this side of the signal. The points will then change from the signalman, and that signal will be pulled off and it will tilt. And when it's in the tilted position, it gives you authorization then to go out onto the main line. That is the only signal you must have to go out onto the main line. That disc signal must be in the cleared position before you can go out onto the main line. All the time you want to stay in the depot yard and shunt up and down, you can go past it till the cows come home. If it's a red and white, you cannot pass it under any condition. Absolutely not, unless it has been cleared by the signalman. If you're going to get verbal permission to pass a signal at danger, that will come from the signalman himself. He will probably send one of the station yard staff up if you're sitting out on the main line waiting for a signal to clear, be it a calling on signal would be probably based, it'd be a dish signal similar to what that one is, but it'd be a disc on here on a separate little platform. This would remain at danger. The disc would be cleared, and that would give you permission to pass this signal at danger, calling on. And that's giving you authorization to pass that signal, calling you forward to couple up to, make an attachment to stock further ahead. The junction isn't clear, the line isn't clear, there is an obstruction, another train. You must pay attention to any other signal along that line. That includes hand signals. But it's giving you permission to pass that signal at danger in order, like say, to run round a train with a locomotive or to shunt another coach on and attach, and then you must obey all other stop signals. So that is a calling on. You normally see that at a terminal station or a station where portions of trains can be attached or detached. Here we would have an attachment, as in the locomotive will be running round, so it's a shunt move. Right then, I think I've told you enough on that. Hope you've enjoyed what we got, and I'll carry on. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy it. Bye.